Okay, well, look at this map. There are so many different countries and there are so many different languages spoken in those countries. And if you are writing an application, at some point you will think about other people using this application, people outside of your language. So in some countries like Kazakhstan or Canada, there are two official languages. And by law, you have to, if you're doing some sort of a government application, you by law have to implement both languages. And the simplest logical thing to do if you don't have any localization techniques in your language or in your IDE or in your framework is to rewrite the whole thing, because most of the stuff like text and labels and buttons you have hard coded. So in that example we just had this panel, and that panel had buttons, and those buttons had titles, and those titles were hard-coded inside. We just put them in code, and if you want to change them, you have to change the application and recompile it, have this different version. It's a huge waste though, and this is stupid. Never do it. So luckily Apple thought of this as well, and it included a lot of the tools for localization. So few of them we're going to see now, and we're going to make our application bilingual. So we have English, and I want to have Russian interface as well, and I want the program to detect the language of the system and use that language. So my language, my system is English, and if I run this application on my system, it will run in English. But if I change the settings to Russian, I want to see those Russian names. So first, let's go to my project properties. And yeah, we're working on the same stuff. So in those project properties, we have thing like localization. So let's go to my window, and here in the first one, sorry, we have this localization, but we don't see any other languages. I want to be able to see other languages, so I want to add some language in there. So I go to my project and I see localizations, and I have those languages. So by default I only have one. So let's add another one, and there's a huge list, and you can see list even bigger. So all the languages that are spoken anywhere, even some sort of Konkani. So let's select Russian. It's in the first list, and it will ask what actual files do you want to be translated. It won't translate it for us, of course. It will just create copies, and we will be able to do the translation ourselves. So all the strings that are used in the application that are actually in a different strings file, and any text files, like in this case there's a credits RTF. This is the text that describes who made this application, and all the interface elements like zip files. So I want to select all of them. It's fine. Hit finish. So now I have two languages here. I still don't have Russian. So if I run this application, it will look exactly the same. I want to make a translation. So you can see we now have this triangle here in document.zip. That is because we now have two versions of that interface. So they look the same. They are copies by now. And English looks like this, and Russian looks exactly the same. So what I want to change there is, well, the labels. So add new in Russian will become this, and remove will become this. And well, I can even make them look differently. Maybe I don't want to have this. I have problems. So I'm just gonna change the names. This will be this, and something like this. So this is a good step. And if you have more stuff like the main menu, it has two versions as well. So I can change this to something else, but I won't bother because I hope you got the idea. Now, to test it, I want to change the settings of my system. So I go to System Preferences, and this language and text. So here's the list of all the languages my system supports, and this list is actual priority list. So the languages that are on top will be used with a higher priority. So if I put Russian on top, that means if there is a Russian localization for an application, that localization will be used. So if I go back, I didn't need to hit anything, it just saved by itself. So let's remove the breakpoints and run this application. I should see the Russian version, so I see it right there. Those are now Russian. And something that was handled by the system is changed as well, but we didn't have to change it because it's a part of the system. So if I want to save it, I hit Command S, it will actually show me the panel with Russian buttons and Russian labels. Okay, this is fine, but what if I do this? Well, this is still in English. That is not because we didn't change it, that is because we couldn't change it. We didn't have this alert panel as a part of the interface. We did it from the code. And in the code, we actually put everything hard-coded. This is exactly what I told you about. So if you remember, we did this. And nobody translated those. Oh yeah, poop. I'm sorry. This should be poor. Yeah. So I want to somehow use different strings for places like this. And there is a way to do this. And this way is called string tables. And string tables are just dictionaries of strings. And those are just text files. And basically it has a structure like a key and a value. And the key is some variable name, sort of, and the value is the actual string. So we will create string tables for different languages. In this case, for English and Russian. So let's create a new file. And from resource, OS X resource, this strings file. And you have to call it localized. And I'm going to save it in my English ENL project folder. This is where I have my resources for an English version of my program. So this is an empty file. I only have those comments. So I want to create sort of a dictionary of values for any string I want to be translated. So first one is I want to have that message for remove alert panel. So it will call remove messages like this, and the actual value would be, well, that do you want to let's do it properly now, to remove those people like this, and remove info. You can name it as you want. This is the name you're going to use, so this is sort of like a define in preprocessor. And this would be something that we did with the formatting. So this would be that people will be removed. So treat it as a simple and a string, something, it will be just replaced when your application runs. And let's have the remove. This would be the label for the button. So it's actually just remove. And cancel would be cancel. Be careful because those are the strings and they are not spell checked anywhere. So if you make a mistake, it won't tell you that there's a mistake because this is not a variable. So let's now go and have the localized version. So yeah, my bad. Stay in this file, open this thing, and here you see, since we added the second language for the whole project, we have those two. And I select the second one, or I kind of just check it, make it so that it's now part of the application. And now we have two versions here. And as with those files, they are just copies now. So I go to Russian and make changes. So this would be хотите удалить этих людей. And this will be будут удалены. And this one is отмена. Okay, so now we just have those and they're not used anywhere. All we have to do now is to get those things from this localized array, localized string file, and use them in our application. So by default, you need to do, so by the way, let's do it something like this. Yeah, that's just a mess. Like this, and so it's just easier to read. Okay, so by default you would do something like you get the default NS bundle, and then you would say localized string for key, and get the key, the value, the comment, and just a huge thing. You can have this simpler way of getting that localized string. So instead of just passing the NS string here, you would do NS localized string and pass it the key, and this would be the key is of course the NS string. So that it was remove message, I think, and the comment is, well, you can put something here, but this is actually ignored, so I just say remove. And the default button was, let's just use this. I copy NS localized string, and this is just a define replacer. It will be replaced when I compile this application with something else, but we don't care, because I want to have remove here. I think, yeah, by default it's remove. So again, we don't care about this. And same here for the cancel. I want to have, yeah, it's all capitals, cancel. And the other button is null. And this I want to be it was remove inf, if I'm not mistaken. So okay, let's run it now. I still have Russian as my default, so yeah, I didn't get anything. So what was the error? Local. Okay, so the problem is I named the file wrong. It should be called localizable. So let's just, without any hassle, create a new file, but this time call it the right name. It will be called localizable, and yes, it should be in my English L project folder. And I'll just copy stuff I have here, and I do the same. I add the Russian translation, and I just take it from here and add it here, so I can get rid of this localized, move to trash. So this should work now. So we have Russian stuff in the actual interface somewhere that we didn't create by using interface builder, but used hard-coded strings. So this is how you make your applications localizable. And if you in your project you use this, this would be a huge plus. So your applications should probably, in a perfect case, support all our 3 languages, the Kazakh, the Russian, and English. So good luck, and see you in the next module.